All right, everyone. I am super excited to be hosting another free Career Astrology 101 workshop. I do these every single month so that you can better understand how to work with your placements and your purpose, and whether you're having career questions or just kind of feeling a little bit lost, knowing that you're not alone and that there's always something going on in the stars that'll allow you to understand, like, this is why I feel the way that I feel. And today I will also be sharing a forecast for abundance. I know that these last few months have been feeling a bit intense, and I really feel like, this forecast for abundance will kind of lift people's spirits, as well as know that the next few weeks are going to be feeling quite different. We're entering a space that feels much more stable. Horse season is all about stability, a little bit less fiery, kind of less passionate, less kind of like knee-jerk reactionary, and coming into a season that is a little bit more stable, a little bit more grounded, which I think everyone can really appreciate. So, to start, we will do a grounding meditation, and then I'll share the forecast, some astrology basics so we're all on the same page, and some other important insights about your free report, and my favorite placement about career clarity, and some insights into ideal jobs and like types of businesses. I'm gonna share my screen. Let's see, present. All right, so let's do that grounding meditation wherever you are. Root down through your feet, through your sit bones. Close your eyes here and start to focus on your breath. We're coming from a lot of different places, different spaces, states of mind. And so start to collect your energy back to you. In your mind's eye, you can see it kind of snapping back into place. And start to lengthen your inhales and extend out your exhales. Allowing yourself to feel more grounded and more present, really settling into the body, into the physical space that you're in. Maybe rolling your shoulders back a few times, then forward. One more time, up and down the back. Press the shoulder blades together, creating some expansion, some opening in the heart center. And we'll start with 3 cleansing breaths. As you empty the breath out, take a deep breath in through the nose and an audible exhale out through the mouth. Take a deep breath in through the nose and an audible exhale out through the mouth. Another deep breath in through the nose, hold it at the top. Take another sip of breath in. Let it go out through the mouth. And seal the lips, start to breathe in and out through the nose. And feel the breath move through the back of the throat, down the length of the spine, and into the belly. I invite you now to set an intention for our session today. Allow your intention to organically come into your consciousness. My invitation is for you to be open, to be curious, and most importantly, to have fun. Know that the insights you are meant to receive will clearly come through. And then after this session, you will feel more confident, more clear, and excited about taking your next steps, making decisions, taking actions for the coming weeks and the coming months. Empty the breath out when you're ready to let your intention go. And just enjoy a few more moments of stillness here. Empty the breath out. Take a deep breath in through the nose and an audible exhale out through the mouth. And as you're ready, gently open your eyes, coming back to the present moment and the present space. Welcome back, everyone. For those who joined a little bit later, we just finished our grounding meditation. I'm going to share a little bit of my story, how I created Saturn. We'll dive into your report. I'll share something more about the North Node. And also, there will be a forecast in here as well. So, a little bit more about me. So, I got into the space of spirituality and wellness about 5 years ago, more than 5 years ago. That's when I started my business. It was events focused in Washington, D.C., of all places. I was sharing stuff about Akashic records, chakras, astrology. And it was such a concept that I felt was so out there for DC that I was very apprehensive to start this business. But I just kept on getting the nudge, and lo and behold, like I started hosting one event, then I started hosting like 6 to 8 events a month, and people would show up multiple times in a month, which was so crazy because in my mind, I was like, I don't know, like, would someone want to come to another event next week? But really, it was so beautiful to build community there. And when you start a business, especially one that is spiritually led, intuition led, it constantly changes. And so I started that business kind of being in the background operationally. And then I felt called to develop and share my own gifts in sound healing, yoga, those things I still practice and share, and astrology. And about 2 years ago, I had the idea for yoursaturn.com. But at that time, I was like not ready. I just started doing career clarity readings, right? Compiled like energy reading, astrology, Akashic records, like all these different things to help people find more clarity as they're kind of exploring new jobs and career paths. But I got that idea a couple years ago, and it was something that I paused for a little bit. I'm like, I'm not ready. But eventually I was like, I always tell my clients to listen to their intuition. I have to listen to my intuition as well. And I started building it. Um, Actually, I had the idea 3 years ago now, and I started building it like a year and a half to 2 years ago now. Oh my goodness, time really flies by. And started building it, didn't know what it was going to look like, and launched it over a year ago. It's a little more than a year old, and like 10,000 people have gotten their report. And I've been hosting these free monthly workshops, I think, for like the last 6 months. And my intention for the free report, for the expanded report, is really to allow yourself to be seen. Because when we are seen, we begin to trust ourselves more. And when we trust ourselves, that means that we can take more aligned action and really start creating the life that we truly desire and that we're meant to have. And that is always my intention with my business, with sharing astrology in this practical, grounded way, and knowing that you are not alone. Because if my report, or if you've gotten a reading with me, if I'm sharing these things with you, that means someone else in the world is experiencing the same thing. And we feel less alone, and we feel less like, oh, like I'm the weird one, or this is only happening to me, because there's always something happening in each and every one of our lives. And I am just so happy to make astrology more accessible and helping you understand what you're meant to be doing in this lifetime, making the most out of your time. So let's talk about the forecast. Congratulations, you have made it through eclipse season. Drop in the chat how the last 2 months were for you. We are wrapping up some important lessons around identity, relationships, codependency, values, boundaries. I mean, it's a lot of relationships starting and ending. I can't tell you how many clients and friends have been like, oh, yes, I went through like a breakup, or I broke up with a job. Like, or I have to kind of shift my relationship with certain family members, or like, this of my best friend, I don't think we're gonna have the same relationship, and that can be so jarring, because a lot of times who we think we are is how we want others to see us, or how others see us. But really, in fact, the last year has been such a potent, powerful opportunity for us to understand ourselves in the way that we see ourselves and want to be seen, kind of changing the narrative and coming from a place of empowerment and being like, this is who I am, this is who I need. And when that internal change happens within, it externally kind of just ripples out. So that affects like your job, your relationships, like your hobbies, how you like to spend like your free time. And I know that with this full moon in Scorpio on Tuesday, it was kind of like the cherry on top. And so for the last like week and a half, like there's been a lot of intense emotions, because when the full moon is in a water sign, and particularly Scorpio, it brings a different type of intensity. And I think that already, these past 2 months, especially like April 1st until literally today, we had Mercury retrograde in Aries. So people are going to be miscommunicating, more irritable, more angry. Like that first week was really tough. Even today, I want to know if you've experienced the same thing. I'm like driving around talking to people. I feel a little tongue-tied. I feel like, like people are just still kind of like adjust, like they're like, oh, wait, things are like kind of feeling a little bit more stable, a little less like bumpy. And so this weekend is going to be a really good weekend. I feel like the best weekend we've had in a very long time in terms of stable energy. If you have a lot of water signs in your chart, so that's Cancer, Scorpio, or Pisces, you are particularly affected by full moons, and just how things are changing in the world. You're just so sensitive to like how others feel. You just have like, I like to say like a very strong antenna picking up all the signals. So know that if you've had a very difficult past 2 months, or the last week and a half has just been kind of crazy, it will be so much better in the coming weeks and the coming months, because we have eclipse season twice a year, and this one was like very intense in terms of the lessons around identity and relationships, which we started about a year ago. So the abundance forecast that I'm sharing with you is that we are currently ending our Jupiter cycle in Taurus. What does that mean? So for the past 11 months, when we are creating a strong foundation for ourselves, like making sure that our home is nice and cozy, and that we're moving slowly but intentionally, and just building the foundation of whatever that you are building, that's where luck will find you. That's where expansion will find you. Um, if you look to see in your chart properties, if you have a major placement in Taurus, so whether it's Jupiter or your sun, your moon, your rising or north node, this cycle really affected you in terms of, when you are focusing on things that are like very material, taking care of your body, eating more nourishing foods, because Taurus also represents like food and agriculture, and creating like a much more stable foundation in your home, in your business, in your relationships. That's where you'll find a lot of luck. And at the end of May, so on May 25th, we'll see Jupiter enter Gemini. I'm pretty excited for Jupiter to be in Gemini because I have Venus in Gemini. And actually, Jupiter in, I'm like, wait, I don't remember my Jupiter placement. I think Jupiter is also in Gemini for me as well. So I feel like the way that I am magnetic, so my Venus placement is really going to be amplified because when Jupiter is in a sign, and we will have it be in Gemini very soon, that means it's going to activate for everyone when you're being more social, when you're activating your voice, really that strengthening your throat chakra. This is going to be a very potent and powerful time. That's how you can create your own luck, your own abundance. I know that a lot of people on this call or listening to the replay are probably content creators or doing something creative. And there is a lot of lessons to learn around activating your voice during this next year, starting on May 25th. You can already kind of start seeing some of these themes come up during eclipse season as well. So during this time, things that you can do to kind of amplify your luck is going to be like activating your voice, speaking up, being more active on social media or a channel that you really resonate with, whether it's a Substack, whether it's LinkedIn, whether it's just like speaking in your family, in your local community, giving workshops, and just being more social. Gemini is an air sign. It's very curious. It likes to take a lot of information in. So if you're maybe going to start like a new course or a new degree or certification, kind of like amassing knowledge is going to be very expansive during this time and kind of attracting more luck. And you can also see where Gemini shows up in your chart. That will also give you some more insights on how this transit will affect you. Now, for my astrological newbies, if you're like, wow, she's sharing a lot of information, I don't quite really understand. How do I find this? Don't worry, I'll talk about it later on as we move through some of the key elements. But I just wanted to share the forecast in general. When you're activating your voice from the end of May onwards for the rest of the year, it's going to be very wonderful in activating abundance and luck for you. And for this next month, while Jupiter is still in Taurus, kind of like ending its cycle, doing things to really nourish your body, to create a strong foundation in whatever area of your life that feels like a little bit shaky, is going to be extremely helpful. Okay, let's see if there are any questions in the chat here. Carly says, it has been intense. Yes, lots of major changes all at once, many emotional ups and downs. Yes, it is very emotional. Family relationships, friendships, self for sure, a lot of stress at work and financial. Oh, Rose, Scorpio stellium. That's intense. Gemini sun, Gemini moon, wonderful. And Mercury, Taurus Mercury, love that. Okay, let's move on to your report. So grab your free or expanded report. And I wanted just to share, this is how I made your report, these different planets, astrological elements. So if there is a part of your free report or the summary for those who have the expanded 15 plus page version, if there's something that like really stood out to you, like, oh, I'm really curious, like that really resonated with me, or oh, like that doesn't resonate with me as much, I would invite you to take a look at this page, maybe take a screenshot and then do some Googling, or you can drop some questions into the chat, because this is the most important piece. These are the most important pieces of information that I thought would be the most helpful in sharing astrology in relation to your career. And today we're going to be focused on this last paragraph, the third paragraph. Let's see, any questions, comments? No, not yet. Okay. So before we get started on the North Node placements and some astrological basics, We have some journaling questions here. So, how does the report make you feel? What careers and businesses are you curious about after exploring um, and looking at your report? Just take a few moments to journal. Sarah has a question. How do you find your midheaven? So when you go to your chart, the circle chart, you'll see like at the top the initials MC, and that's your midheaven. So just take a few moments to journal, to reflect. And if you want to share by dropping into the chat, I would love to know. Okay, just one more minute left to finish these questions. Oh, I forgot to mention, for the last 5-10 minutes of today's session, I'll also put you guys into breakout rooms, a time to kind of connect with others. I did that, I think, for the last two, maybe the last one or the last two, and people really enjoyed it. So we'll do like a Q&A, and then they'll do like a breakout session for those who can stay. Okay, moving on. So let's talk about the astrological basics. Oh, let's see. Do we have any questions or? Oh, curious about how exploring entrepreneurship fits into my chart. I relate a lot to my moon in Pisces, always picking up the energy of others. Yes. So your sun, your moon, and your rising. I think it's always important for us to start on the same page. This is your big three, the astrological triad that makes you who you are, those core elements. Your sun is going to be your personality, your identity, kind of like what really lights you up. Your moon is your emotional world, how you process emotions, what your inner child needs. Like when you're feeling sad, if you look to your moon sign, it gives you a lot of insights on how to self-care and how to mother yourself. And the rising is how people view you and how you see the world. So I like to also describe it as your perception and your view of reality. An example that I can give is myself. So I have a Leo sun. Leos, they really love to be on a stage, and I really love to present. Before, when I was working a corporate job in social media, consumer marketing, I would love to just make presentations. Like, I love talking to clients, and it makes a lot of sense because Leo is a sign that does really well in sales and marketing. And now it's shifted into kind of leading meditations, leading workshops, but empowerment is a big part of the sign of Leo as well. It really enjoys empowering others. It also has like a playful energy to it and is very creative as well. So moving on to the moon, I have a Capricorn moon. So oftentimes when people have an earth sign for their moon, they can feel a little distant from their emotions. So drop in the chat if you have a Taurus, Virgo, or Capricorn moon. Those are our earth signs. They like to kind of explain their emotions. And for the longest time, I was just like trying to make sense of my emotions instead of just feeling them. And specifically for a Capricorn moon, Capricorn is a sign of career, of work. And if I feel like my job, my career is not in a good place, then I kind of feel like blah. Now, what I've learned is it's not about how many sales I make, or before I was working a corporate job, like the title that I have, how much I'm getting paid. To reshift and refocus the definition of success is really important for Capricorn moons because that carrot is always going to be moving. You always can do more, make more, have a better title, like whatever it may be. So you have to make peace with yourself in terms of what is success, what does it look like to you. Now, I also have a Capricorn rising, so I see the world really just like opportunities for career and for business. Like that's what I really enjoy engaging with people on. I also see it as like a place where like things should have order to them. So when people actually first meet me, because my Capricorn is my rising and my moon, people are like, wow, like I feel like very grounded, very safe, very calm near you. And also sometimes they're surprised. They're like, oh, you're an astrologer? Didn't couldn't really like see that. Thought you were like maybe a consultant, a lawyer, or something like much more corporate-y. And I was in that job. But as you will learn during our workshop today, the North Node plays a big part in kind of your personality and who you are. And my North Node is in a water sign. So it makes a lot of sense why I do the work that I do. Sierra says, you def give earth sign vibes. Yes. Timmy says, I have a Capricorn sun and feel like her has always been a huge focus for me for a while now. Yes, if you have Capricorn in your sun, your moon, your rising, or north or south node, people are always like, career, like your job is not your identity. And I'm like, for some of us, it is our identity, truly. And if you have Capricorn sun, moon, rising, or any of the nodes, that is definitely true. It's just something that you kind of like need to balance so that it stays healthy. Okay, so what is the North Node? I love talking about the North Node because I feel like it's kind of left behind because if you are more familiar with astrology, you hear a lot of people talking about the midheaven when it comes to understanding like career success and what type of ideal jobs that you have. Now, it's never going to be one thing. It's like when I do my career astrology readings, I piece together everything to be like, here are a couple different like ideas for like jobs or side hustles, businesses to start. But what I've found is that because the North Node is about life lessons, a little bit about destiny, like learning what you're meant to be learning in this lifetime, like a lot of like ideal jobs and purpose. This is like a purpose placement right now, the way that our society works, and it is changing, the next 2 decades, a lot of huge changes are going to be happening that will perhaps, I believe, shift us from like working 5 days a week or even more to kind of being a little bit more balanced, maybe 50-50, or even just kind of like more time just doing what we want to do and being creative and exploring and connecting, being human. But for now, for the time being, in this current reality, we work Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, most times a lot more than that. And so when are we going to be learning our lessons? Probably at work. And how are we going to be pursuing and figuring out our purpose? Probably at work, or at least some element of it, right? I mean, it's just so obvious that even when we're introducing ourselves to people, a lot of times you're like, hi, my name is Alice. And then you're like, I am a lawyer. Like, we are so connected to our jobs, unhealthily at times at this point that, yeah, that's just going to be the focal point. So you can look for your North Node in your chart properties that's already there, or your favorite astrology app. But don't worry, I'll talk about that as well in the coming slides. So what is your South Node? This is past lives, karma, mastered skills. So often when we are feeling stuck in our careers, it is because we're getting stuck in the South Node. And I would even argue to say that when we're looking at the sun, the moon rising, that's kind of like the makeup of who you are, like I almost feel like the South Node is at the center. It is the core of who you are because many past lives, like you come into the light into this life just like being really good at these skills. And then we have like the overlay of like your moon, your sun, then your rising. That's what I really feel what it's like. And so a lot of times you're feeling stuck in your career. You are most likely kind of doing too much stuff in the South Node because the South Node is what you're familiar and what you're comfortable with. It's somewhere that will always be there. Those skills will be there. It will help you in anything that you do, but you're not supposed to focus just on it. Now, what do I mean by this? Use myself as an example. So my North Node is in Pisces and my South Node is in Virgo. I am really familiar with being behind the scenes. So remember when I shared, like, I started my business as an events business, and I was like organizing things, making sure that, the ticketing page was made and I was getting like food and drinks and sending emails and marketing. And I've always been in project manager roles, client facing roles, like people are always like coming to me being like, how do I do this? And I love a list. I love being organized. Sometimes Virgos and South Node in Virgo, people can be very rigid in like how they want things to be. Like if a plan changes and it's not because I wanted to change it, I'm just like, does not compute. I like absolutely hate it, but I'm trying to be more flowy and more flexible. And that's really my lesson. My lesson is to embody the sign of Pisces that is intuitive, dreamy, and flowy, like feminine, and kind of trust that things are happening that the way that it should, and releasing some of that rigidity and allowing things to unfold. Virgo is like a control freak at times, and Pisces is more of just like, chill, it's all working out. And so I would say this is a pretty challenging placement for me because I already have a lot of other earth signs. Capricorn is really prevalent throughout my chart. So I feel very comfortable in more of like the grounded, like, I mean, honestly, like before I started this business, when I was working in Shanghai in my 20s, if you told me that I was going to start like a spiritual business, like teach yoga, facilitate sound baths, do like career readings, like I would have been like, absolutely not. That sounds insane. I would never do that. But here we are. In 2024, me giving a workshop on astrology, and I have truly learned how to be creative and understanding that we are all creative because Pisces is a water sign. It's very intuitive, it's very creative. Like I just never thought that I would be intuitive, that I would be psychic. I mean, today I had a couple readings, and with this full moon in Scorpio, my intention was like, okay, I'm going to develop more of my psychic skills, kind of like be even better at like picking up the signals. And it's always so funny when I'm having conversations with people and the synchronicities that happen. I remember one client today, she was like, "Oh, I really want to move. I don't really feel like, I really like this town." And looking at her chart, I'm like, "Yeah, you really should. You really should be living like somewhere international, or at the very least, a city that is really diverse." I was like, "Where are you living right now? Like Cincinnati?" She's like, "Oh my God, I am living in Cincinnati." So I thought that was like really funny. So example, the North Node in Pisces, South Node in Virgo. This lifetime, I'm meant to be like more flowy, more imaginative, really tapping into that flow state. But I do use a lot of my Virgo skills. That's why I made your Saturn so that it's like very like it's a system. It's a technology system that generates your report, and it allows you to clearly understand something that is a little bit more out there. So grounding something that is a bit unfamiliar to people so that they can really see it. Oh, like I can use this in a very practical way. Earth signs are very practical. Okay, let's see. What questions do we have here? What if your North Node is the same as your Sun, Moon, Venus, and Mercury? Oh, wow. Virgo, does this usually make it easier to align with your purpose? Yes, absolutely. It definitely does. It makes it a lot easier. Is the South Node not on the basic report? Oh, good. We're We're answering questions here. Thank you. And also, I have a slide coming up that helps you find your South Node. It's not currently on the free report, but I'll be making some technological updates this year. So stay tuned. Okay, so let's talk about your placements. So the South Node isn't on there, so I want you to find your North Node. On the opposite side will be your south node. They're always opposites of one another, which is why it can be very challenging for you to understand how to embody the north node. With the exception of Gemini and Sagittarius, they're quite similar. So let's say your north node is in Libra, that means your south node is in Aries. If your north node is in Capricorn, your south node is in Cancer. North node in Leo, south node in Aquarius. That is how it works. Ooh, Timmy says my Sagittarius North Node has me feeling pulled to relocating recently, but don't know where yet because of the process of career transition. Yes, Sagittarius loves to travel. So you're very familiar with kind of like local community. I would say that you probably have like a really close like family, or you're maybe from like a small town or smaller town, or very kind of like sheltered family or town, or just like people are like, why would you go anywhere? Like we have a good thing going on, but you have a sense of adventure. Um, yeah, keep me posted on the different jobs that you're choosing, and you can always book a reading with me, and we go through astrocartography. So sometimes what I do for clients is they have like one or two job opportunities, or they have one job opportunity. They're like, what would it be like if I lived here? So I'll look and I'll tell you like, okay, these are some of the things that you'll experience if you live there. So it makes it really helpful in figuring out like, okay, is this the vibe that I want to have? We have the North Node in Virgo, North Node in Scorpio. Oh, the last few years, Juana, has been very intense as you kind of need to step into your power and feel more comfortable with change. Caroline says North Node in Capricorn, which is also at the apex of a Yod. Oh, you got a Yod in your chart. Interesting things happening in your life. North Node in Capricorn. So I see a lot of North Node in Capricorns. North Node in Capricorns. Oh, another one. Is one that it's very possible, depending on your other placements, to start your own business. At the very least, a side hustle. With a North Node in Capricorn, there is a lot of emphasis on like moving away from focusing on others and focusing on what you want to create. But don't worry, lots of examples coming up. Okay, so we're going to start off with our fire signs. So all these examples also apply for your like your sun, your moon, your rising, or Mercury. It's just we're focusing on the north node. That's why I spoke about the sun, the moon, the rising earlier. But yes, all of these, like if you're like, oh, my sun's in Aries, like this is a big part of who you are, being a visionary, wanting to be a leader. But right now we're talking about the north node, your purpose placement, the life lessons you are meant to be learning, and potential ideal jobs. And this will kind of allow those like creative juices to start flowing and like Alice says, like, if my North Node is in Aries, then maybe I should be looking at something that requires me to be more visionary, leading, CEO, something involving military or like fitness. So just start to noodle on these things. So with the fire sign North Node, you are meant to really be more creative and taking more leadership as well. So North Node in Aries, like I said, it's very visionary. And right now you're going through your nodal return. So the last year has been very intense because collectively the North Node is in Aries. So you have been quite uncomfortable and being like, how do I lead? How do I not care about what other people think? Shift away from codependency and kind of collating opinions and being like, this is my opinion. I think you'd be good and you'd be good to come along to help me make this happen. It is a very passionate and powerful sign. Leo, North Node. This is a person that is meant to be in the limelight. Like, I can't tell you how many clients that come to me with a North Node in Leo. They're like, I don't want to I don't want to be the front of like the spokesperson for my business, or wait, I have to kind of be center stage. No, I just want to be in the background. But no, if your North Node is in Leo, that means you're meant to perform, you're meant to be a creative, a creator, or a coach. You have to be more out there. And a lot of times, what that means is getting in front of the camera, posting on Instagram or TikTok or YouTube. I know it feels quite uncomfortable, but that is an important lesson. Now, North Node in Sagittarius, a travel influencer, being a writer or philosopher. If you have a North Node in Sagittarius, it's super easy for you to have like an existential crisis. It's totally normal. And Sagittarius is one of those signs that is very has a duality to it. It is not only comedic, life of the party, wanting everyone to have a good time, but also very serious, and has a strong moral compass. Also loves international travel. Okay, moving on to our earth signs. If your North Node is in an earth sign, that means you are working on grounding your ideas into reality. So, North Node in Taurus, it could look like working in luxury goods, being a chef, food and beverage, agriculture, finance, food. It's about you feeling more stable and knowing that stability comes from within. And if your North Node is in Taurus, you learned this lesson from like fall of 2021 until last summer, 2023, and finding stability from the inside out. A lot of times people think that having a North Node in Taurus means that you can't work for yourself, that you're always going to work for someone else, but that's not true. It just requires you to feel a stronger conviction that you can take care of yourself. If your North Node is in Virgo, that means that you have a life lesson of getting more organized and grounding all the different ideas that you have, all the creative things that you want to do into reality by focusing on operations, whether it's like a virtual assistant, like logistics, a professional list maker, being a project manager, with the North Node in Virgo, also like wellness related, how to get people to live healthier, to be healthier, having routine, something that you do every single day for yourself or for your work or for your business is going to be very important. And then we have the North Node in Capricorn. Like I said, this is a placement that can be an entrepreneur. Actually, just like Aries as well. Aries and Capricorn have a propensity to want to lead and do their own thing, thinking that they can do it better than others. Probably, yes. And it's very possible for a North Node in Capricorn to become a consultant, to be an analyst, and kind of take on entrepreneurship in a much more practical way of like maybe not starting something completely different, but let's say like you're a CPA, you're working at a big firm, and then you decide to start your own business. Okay, air signs. So, air signs, Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. If your North Node is in Gemini, that means that you are going to be focused on strengthening your communication skills. Geminis, I like to say, are the OG influencers. They just know so much. They're very social. All air signs are very social. They could be like a peer manager, they could be a coach, they can be a reporter, be on television. Air sign lessons include being much more cerebral, doing lots of like thinking, being more social, and connecting with others. If your North Node is in Libra, that means you're going through your reverse nodal return because right now the North Node is in Aries, so it's the opposite for you. And you're learning things related to, okay, actually relationships are very helpful. I don't have to do things alone. And for a North Node in Libra, it could be a party planner, they could be a lawyer, a diplomat. They could also have like something related to luxury or aesthetics. Libras and Tauruses, they like nice things and they have very good style. Now, finally, for our air signs, we have Aquarius. Aquarius is the unsocial social sign. It needs time alone. And if your North Node is in Aquarius, what you need to be doing is to embrace the unique side of who you are because you're quite innovative and you can really see how we can live a better way. Aquarius is a very avant-garde sign. It can be a teacher, it can be an engineer, work in advocacy, humanitarianism, because it can take in a lot of information, like its other air signs as well, and kind of explain complex subject matter. It enjoys like learning new things as well as teaching others. And North Node in Aquarius placements are most likely working in technology, building a technology product, or making the world a better place in some way, shape, or form. North Node in Aries, Virgo, Leo. Shivalika says, I know these are the jobs where I can excel as per my chart, but I don't want to work these Virgo North Node. Okay, so if you don't relate to your North Node, I would invite you to take a closer look. And I know that Shivalika has some more astrology knowledge. So go and look at the house that is in. That requires a bit more like organization, like more focus, more structure. Oh, in the 11th house. Oh, so that's ruled by Aquarius. So if you're working in something related to technology, innovation, in like a project manager role, that could be really interesting for you, or starting like a nonprofit. Look at some of the stuff that's related to the 11th house, Aquarius. Okay, finally, we have our water signs, Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. In this lifetime, you are meant to be embracing emotions, your intuition, and creativity. Just like it's fire signs, these signs are very creative as well. So with the North Node in Cancer, your job is to really focus on how to tap into this like innate gift that you have in making people feel quite safe. It's also a sign that's like very homey, very nostalgic. So with the North Node in Cancer, you could do a lot of different things. Traditionally speaking, it's a lot around like nursing, caregiving, interior design, being a therapist, being intuitive. All water signs can be like an intuitive or a psychic, or very much so using these skills in whatever line of work that they do. North Node in Scorpio. Scorpios are very detail oriented. They're very intense. They are truth seekers. They always see the truth. If we have any Scorpios in the room, it is very easy for you to trigger people. But with the right people, they really appreciate your attention to detail and for you to see things as they are. That's why a North Node in Scorpio is really good at anything that is like data driven, that is very investigative. Anytime I see a lot of Scorpio in someone's chart, like I had one of my readings have a lot of Scorpio in their chart. I'm like, oh, you're doing a lot of healing work. You also love murder mysteries, like true crime. And can be very good at managing assets and resources for other people or like in your family. And then the last one, that one's mine. That was the example that I gave. The North Node in Pisces, to become an artist, to be a musician, to tap into your psychic intuitive abilities and understand that creativity is a really big part of who you are and for you to become a dreamer. All right. And here is it all listed out again. That should be pretty helpful for you to see, okay, what is my North Node? What is my South Node? What are some of the things that I'm very good at, your South Node, that I'm moving away from to help me get to the North Node? And for those who are looking to change their jobs, I would say that combining the South Node and the North Node characteristics will help you find a bridge job. And here are some other things in here to help you relate to your North Node and understand your North Node a little bit more. These are some values and characteristics. All right, moving on. So, one other thing that I want to touch upon are the houses. This adds an extra element to your north node. Timmy says, storytelling is definitely an area I want to work on more as a Sagittarius north node. Yes, you have very strong communication skills already. So when we look at the houses, it gives us some more information of how our north node will be expressed. Where in your life will you be experiencing some of these lessons? So my north node is in the second house. So I am meant to really feel more confident in my ability to generate money for myself, and tapping into my psychic intuitive abilities, and to really develop my self-worth and my confidence. So this is a big area that I am focused on. Another example is if your north node is in the seventh house, you will see it kind of reflected in your relationships, whether it's romantic, business partners, things related to others. And you may find success in kind of fulfilling and living out your north node in your relationships, and understanding relationships are very powerful for you. Ah, yes. And North Node is Scorpio in the second house. A lot of money things, because Scorpio is also related to finance. Yes, and North Node and Capricorn in the sixth house, that is related to Virgo. So daily work, health, daily routine, coworkers, getting people organized. So if you're thinking about, Tracy, like creating like a business to help people like get healthier, it could be like nutrition, daily routines and rituals. That could be a possibility. Maybe releasing perfectionism, career coaching. So Sierra, if you go to your chart properties, for the free report, you'll see North Node listed out, so you can find. But it looks like a horseshoe. I'm like, can I draw it here? No, I can't draw it here. But you should be able to see it in your chart properties. Yes. I just scroll down through the pages. Okay. And so this, you can see this is like the wheel. This is how the houses show up. It goes from down here counterclockwise all the way up. And these are like the different symbols. So that's the first house is ruled by Aries, then the second house by Taurus, the third house Gemini, the fourth house Cancer, fifth house Leo, the sixth house Virgo, seventh house Libra, eight is Scorpio, nine is Sagittarius, 10th is Capricorn, 11th is Aquarius, and the 12th is Pisces. Okay. Okay. Now I'm going to take a couple questions. We're probably going to go 5 minutes or 10 minutes over. Okay, let's see. Julie says, do you have any advice for Leo North Node in the 10th house? I know that I want to get back into more singing and performing, but I've been letting fear get in the way. Yes, I mean, a Leo North Node, you're meant to be performing. This is a big part of your career, letting yourself shine in the 10th house, which is career. So letting fear is, I would say, get back to your like spiritual practices like meditation, work, breath work will be really powerful. And honestly, like the structure of like, let's say you sign up for like a course or like singing lessons or something that you'll have to perform in 3 months, and like having someone help you keep accountable, then by the time like the course ends or the performance time has arrived, you'll feel a lot better. Sarah says, my moon, Venus, North Node, all in Virgo in the fourth house. Makes so much sense why my desire for babies and family stability is so strong. Yeah. So actually if your North Node is in Virgo in the fourth house, you would love to just like bring order into like family, into a house, whether it's like you could work in a school, you could want to have like your own family, like a really big family, and making sure everyone and everything is like really organized. Let's see. Tracy says, I resonate with you, Julia. I have Leo rising and I need to work on my imposter syndrome and being okay with the spotlight. So when you have a Leo rising, um, people like see you as someone who is very charismatic and can be on stage and performing. I think that's the funny part. Sometimes I remember when I was feeling very, very lost before I started this business, and I would talk to friends and they'd be like, "You're gonna figure it out. Like, don't worry." And I'm like, I'm so worried. I don't know who you think I am, but I have no idea what I'm going to do. And I'm panicking. I'm stressed. I'm feeling like a failure. But that was my Capricorn rising. It is always so responsible, so reliable, just knows what to do. That's how people viewed me. And I'm like, I don't know who this person you're talking about, but that's not me. Leo sun and I hate the spotlight. I also have a Leo sun and I resisted like posting on social media for so long, and then I resisted like making like videos about different things, but so many of you have found me through TikTok or through Instagram, so know that somebody needs to hear your message. Oh, Sierra said I just applied to a job at a forest school. Ah, I love that. I love that. Okay. So, any other questions? Doesn't seem like there are any other questions. We have some journaling exercises here that I want you to take down to do later for those who are watching the replay. Here are some questions to help you reflect on what we've learned about the North Node. I think the most important question is, what are the dreams you're afraid to share with yourself and with others? So for those who are joining the live, pick a question, jot it down in your journal to come back to it later, maybe later this evening before bed. And I'm going to break you guys into those rooms. We can connect and we can chat. And for those who are joining the replay, drop in the comments any questions you had, what resonated with you. I'm going to stop recording.